voyage was to take us from St. Martin to Horta in the Azores, from Horta to Gibraltar, and finally Gibraltar to Palermo in Sicily. Our boat was Orsobrillo, a Moor 55. Its owner had completed the Atlantic Rally crossing the year previously, and it was now being returned to them in Palermo. It was docked at the Fort Lewis Marina in Marigot in St. Martin.
Maybe the place, if it's too expensive for you, you can maybe move from there and find another place.
Fort Lewis is located on the French side of the island, on the sheltered west coast. Before departing, we did a day sail to Orsobrillo to acquaint the crew with the boat. This was a great way to get to know each other better and a bit more about the boat. While at the Orsobrillo, we took some time to do a bit of snorkeling and had a cool interaction with a spotted eagle ray and several turtles.
I was breathless, my heart restless. Every turn felt like it was wrong, but I kept going to show I was strong. Pushing to my own song, but you came, you made me see the weight I put on me was too much, too tough.
Back at the dock, work continued as Marco was hoisted up the mast to change out the main halyard, while Paul reconfigured the autopilot. After all that, headed for the beach.
Let's see if there are any on the beach.
As a popular holiday destination, apart from the beaches, there are several attractions worth visiting on the island. Fort Lewis in Marigot overlooks the marina where we were docked.
Waking up anew, wasting time is all I do. But now when I'm with you, so much time, nothing to do. I'm dropping you texts now. You said you want me when it starts. Being with you just feels right. You said we could meet it when it starts. Sun is about to go down. So what you doing tonight? It's everything I can't think of. Waking up anew, wasting time is all I do. But now when I'm with you, so much time, nothing to do. I'm dropping you texts now.
Another attraction is Under SXM, an underwater artificial reef sculpture adventure park in Little Bay, consisting of more than 300 sculptures.
It's beautiful, and even though I told you so, you know survival. We leave the lights on. We move or go on somehow. Looking like soldiers, waiting to drown. And I'm not around no more. And looking at people that don't make a sound. Music's around, stay warm. We got no right, no
I just loved the big sea urchin perched on this guy's crown.
seasonal, and body knows. We make it known so loud. Just you and me, and we can see small machines in sunrise, looking like soldiers.
After several days of repairs and maintenance, we decided to take a day off with a crew tour of the island, starting with lunch and Coronas at a beach bar in Phillipsburg on the Dutch side, followed by a swim at Oyster Bay, continuing up the east coast and into the French part for photo ops at Orient Bay, and finishing towards sunset at Marcel Cove. The next day, preparations intensified as we tried to repair Starlink to have internet for the crossing. Autopilot and Starlink systems were all in working order, weather window looked favourable, and final readying of Orsobrillo for departure was taking place. But wait, what's that?
Because to say the truth, when we were crossing, we were really watching movie, streaming. We never pursued 26 gigabytes in one day. Never, not even in the worst scenario. One day probably we reached 6 gigabytes and was really big. So.
Do you have a theory, Paul, about
We used 26 gigabytes in one day on the Stanley.
The inquest revealed no obvious answers, so preparations completed, we cast off to begin the Atlantic crossing. Fenders away, sails stowed and the main hoisted, we settled into some uninterrupted sailing with favourable southwesterly winds, allowing us to make a direct line for the Azores. Later that evening we started the watch system in pairs. 3 hours on, 6 hours off. This way our watch was 3 hours later each day. During the first night shifts we benefited from a bright full moon, followed by warm welcoming sunrises. Dolphins racing the bow on a sailing boat is always a fun sight. It gets everybody's interest. As the last contact with land disappears over the horizon, days begin to blend one into another. Only ocean surrounds us now. Watches and rolling action of the boat interrupt regular sleep patterns, which impact energy levels and awareness. As we progress northwards, the temperature begins to cool, requiring warmer and wet weather gear. Knowledge of forthcoming weather fronts becomes significant to the safety and comfort of the vessel and crew. Marco vigilantly checks predict wind regularly to adjust course settings accordingly. One of the best ways to lift the mood was a bit of light-hearted banter about nothing in particular. Storm's coming, we're going to weather it through. Alright, looking forward to it. See you at the other end.
It's over there, or it's still over there, right?
Fair play to you, Mark.
Somebody's got to
Don't rotate. Meanwhile, as the hammock of fresh fruit and veggies dwindled, Marco made pasta like only an Italian can do, while Paul made homemade bread, sporting the latest in sailing underwear. Talking of which, the full range of fashions emerged as the weather changed between conditions above and below deck. One of the milestones we celebrated was each pair achieving 100 hours on watch, approximately 34 watches completed over 12 consecutive days. Several days before arriving at Horta in the Azores, we experienced unsettled weather patterns. Two converging fronts were cause for concern from storm conditions. However, much to our satisfaction, Paul and Marco managed to steer a course between the two without any discomfort. During the last few days, we were obliged to motor for longer periods, as the wind was directly in our face, before arriving into Horta on the early morning of the 15th day. Arriving into harbour after a prolonged period at sea is always exciting and gratifying. The sense of possibility about new destinations fills the mind, while anticipation for new and familiar activity excites the senses. Horta is the main city of the island of Faial. The history of Faial dates back to the Middle Ages. Settlement from 1467, due to the initiative of Jos van Herta of Flemish origin. Construction of the dock began in 1876. It has been subject to various volcanic eruptions, the latest in 1957, which led to the mass exodus to USA and expanded the island by 2.4 square kilometres. The Azores are now an autonomous region of Portugal. When arriving by sea, the visitor's initial introduction is to the harbour of Horta. It's renowned for its colourful art, where visiting boats are encouraged to decorate the surfaces of the harbour with images reflecting their boat, journey, crew and date. There are literally thousands of images of different size, quality and colour, making Horta probably the most colourful marina in the world. One of our crew, Isidoro, had his name included from several previous trips. The island is dominated by the crater of the Capello volcanic complex. It is 2 kilometres diameter and an average depth of 400 metres, whose interior represents one of the most pristine patches of native forest in the Azores. The Capelinos volcano, from the 1957 eruption on the west side, is by contrast a dramatic area of barren volcanic rock. The best way to get a view of Horta, the harbour, and possibly surrounding islands is from the Mirador at Espalamaca, a short ride outside the city. Probably the most talked about place on Horta by sailors is Peter's Cafe Sport Bar, overlooking the harbour. No visit is complete without stopping in for a drink, meal or visit to the museum. They even have their own label of bottled gin, Peter's Gin do Mar, which is flying off the shelves.